Some betrayals do not come from enemies. They come from the face that looks exactly like yours. From the voice you trust. From the person who knows what you love, what you fear, and how to lead you gently into ruin. People say twins share everything. But what they don't say is this. Sometimes, twins also share jealousy. And jealousy does not need strength. It only needs opportunity. This is the kind of story that begins quietly. With smiles. With trust. With love that slowly becomes too heavy to carry. Once upon a time, there lived a twin named Amara and Amaka. Amara was gracious and kind, her heart soft, her spirit gentle, the kind of person whose presence calmed people without effort. Amaka looked exactly like her, the same eyes, the same smile, the same walk, but where Amara carried warmth, Amaka carried silence. From childhood, Amara was admired without trying. She spoke with respect. She listened more than she talked. She noticed people's pain and offered help before being asked. Elders trusted her with responsibilities. Children ran toward her when frightened. Women spoke of her as though she were already someone important. Amaka was always there, standing beside her. At first, she told herself that it did not matter. They were twins. Whatever Amara received, she would receive too. But as the years passed, the admiration refused to divide itself equally. When people greeted them, Amara's name came first. When blessings were spoken, Amara's name lingered longer. Amaka smiled, but inside her chest, something tightened. She began to notice small things. How people leaned closer when Amara spoke. How laughter followed Amara's jokes. How eyes followed Amara when she walked away. And then the prince arrived. He did not come with announcement or noise. He came quietly, observing, listening, blending in. Most people did not recognize him at first, but the moment his attention settled, he did not move again. Amara was dancing. Not for attention, not for praise. She danced because joy had found her, free. Her movements were natural, effortless, as though the rhythm lived inside her. The prince stopped. He watched. He smiled. He asked her name. From that moment, something shifted. He returned again. And again. Gifts followed. Compliments followed. The attention was no longer hidden. People whispered. Mothers nudged their daughters. Elders nodded knowingly. Amara remained humble, unaware of the storm building beside her. Amaka watched everything. At night, as they lay side by side, Amaka stared into darkness. Why her? We are the same. Why does destiny keep choosing her? Jealousy did not arrive suddenly. It crept in slowly, pretending to be fairness, pretending to be wounded pride, pretending to ask reasonable questions. And one day, Amaka stopped fighting it. She remembered something about her sister, something important. Amara loved flowers. She loved discovering new ones, touching their petals, marveling at their colors. It was one of the few things that made her forget the world completely. That was when Amaka formed her plan. One morning, Amaka approached Amara with excitement in her voice. She said she had seen the most beautiful flowers deep in the forest. Flowers unlike any they had ever seen, bright, rare, untouched. Amara's eyes lit up immediately. She did not hesitate. She followed her twin sister happily, unaware that trust was leading her toward destruction. The forest grew thicker as they walked, the air heavier. Amara noticed, but she did not fear. She trusted Amaka. Why wouldn't she? They reached a quiet clearing. Amara smiled, waiting eagerly. "Where are the flowers?" she asked. Amaka did not answer. Instead, she reached into her wrapper and brought out a red cloth and cowries. Before Amara could speak again, Amaka raised them and pointed them directly at her. The world shifted. Amara's smile faded. Her eyes lost focus. Her body stiffened. Confusion washed over her face. Words refused to form. Her mouth opened, and saliva began to drip uncontrollably. She tried to speak. Nothing came out. The ritual had worked. Amaka felt a rush of victory, so intense it made her dizzy. She smiled. She took her sister's hand gently and escorted her back, acting concerned, acting worried, acting innocent. The moment they reached the village, Amaka began to shout, "Everybody come out, oh, I don't understand what is wrong with my sister." People rushed out. They stared in shock as Amara stood there, dull, confused, drooling, her eyes empty. Amaka cried loudly. She said it was Amara who insisted on going into the forest. She said she warned her to stop. She said Amara kept going deeper and deeper. She said she stopped following her at some point. She said when Amara finally returned, she was like this. The villagers whispered. Some said maybe Amara saw something she was not meant to see. Some said she must have stepped on a powerful charm. Some said the forest sometimes punished curiosity. Amaka nodded, crying harder. Inside, she was celebrating. She looked at her broken sister and told herself quietly that she would see how Amara would marry the prince looking like this. That night, as Amara sat staring into nothingness, saliva dripping from her mouth, Amaka lay beside her, feeling victorious. But rituals do not end when you want them to. In the darkness, Amaka heard a whisper. Destiny has been exchanged, but the debt remains. She turned. Amara was staring directly at her. And slowly, impossibly, Amara smiled. Some people believe that once destiny is stolen, peace will follow. But stolen things never stay quiet. They cry, they wait, and one day they demand attention. After that day, nothing was ever the same again. Amara remained alive, but she was no longer present. Her eyes followed people, but understanding never returned. Her mouth stayed open most of the time, saliva dripping slowly, endlessly, like something inside her had broken beyond repair. She could not speak, she could not recognize faces. She could not remember her own name. People pitied her. They avoided her. They whispered whenever she was brought outside. Amaka became her shadow. Outside the house, she played the role perfectly. She held Amara's hand gently in public. She wiped her mouth with sympathy. She cried when people gathered. She spoke softly and told everyone that caring for her sister was her duty and her sacrifice. People admired her. They praised her patience. They called her kind-hearted. But when the doors were shut and no one was watching, Amaka became someone else entirely. She would look at Amara with disgust, stepping away from the puddle of saliva beneath her mouth. "See you," she would sneer quietly. "Let me see how you will marry the prince now. You, this stinking thing." She would mock her empty stare. She would wave her hand in front of Amara's face and laugh when there was no response. Sometimes, when the saliva flowed too much, Amaka would turn her face away in irritation. "Your mouth smells," she would mutter. "Disgusting." She did not clean her immediately. She did not rush to help her. Sometimes, she deliberately left her hungry longer than necessary. Other times, she abandoned her alone in a corner, while she went outside to soak in sympathy and praise. Then, the moment footsteps approached or voices sounded nearby, Amaka transformed. She rushed back to Amara's side, wiped her mouth gently, held her close, and cried loudly. People never suspected a thing. The prince returned. When he saw Amara again, his heart sank. The woman who once made his spirit feel light now sat lifeless, staring into nothingness. He tried to speak to her. He tried to hold her hand. There was no response. The elders shook their heads. Some destinies, they said, cannot be carried into the palace. The prince stayed longer with Amaka. At first, it was out of sympathy. She explained everything calmly, carefully, repeating the lies she had perfected. She spoke of warnings, of stubborn curiosity, of forests that punished those who disobeyed. Each time she spoke, Amara sat nearby, drooling silently. Amaka would glance at her and smile faintly. Inside, she was laughing. Slowly, the prince's visits became less about Amara and more about Amaka. Amaka noticed. She adjusted her voice. her posture, her laughter. She began to mirror everything Amara once was. Kind, gentle, patient, loving. And it worked. The day the prince officially asked for Amaka's hand, the compound erupted in celebration. Amara sat in a corner, saliva dripping quietly, unaware that the life meant for her had been handed to another. That night, when the celebration quieted, Amaka stood before Amara and bent close to her face. "You hear that, don't you?" she whispered cruelly. "I am the one he wants now. You can sit there and drool for the rest of your life." Amara did not respond. Amaka laughed softly. That night, Amaka could not sleep. She had won. Yet, something felt wrong. She dreamed of cowries falling endlessly, of red cloth tightening around her neck, of Amara standing upright, clean, whole, staring at her without blinking. She woke up sweating. The wedding preparations began quickly. Amaka was dressed in beauty and praise. Songs were sung in her name. Women admired her fortune. Men praised her patience and sacrifice. She smiled through it all. But behind closed doors, her cruelty grew bolder. She complained openly about Amara's smell. She ordered others to keep their distance from her. She mocked her condition whenever frustration rose inside her. And yet, the moment people gathered, Amaka wiped her tears and became the loving sister again. Strange things began to happen. Sometimes, when Amaka laughed, her voice echoed strangely, as though another voice laughed with her. Sometimes, she felt cold hands touch her at night. Sometimes, she heard whispers calling her by a name that was not hers. She ignored them. After all, she had everything now. Amara, on the other hand, began to change. The drooling lessened. Her eyes followed Amaka wherever she went. Sometimes, when Amaka mocked her quietly, Amara's lips trembled, as though words struggled to escape. One night, Amaka woke suddenly and found Amara sitting upright, staring directly at her. No saliva, no confusion, just a calm, unsettling gaze. Amaka screamed. By morning, Amara was back to her dull state. People said Amaka was tired, stressed, nervous about becoming queen. She told herself the same thing. The marriage took place. Amaka entered the palace as queen. She wore crowns meant for another head. She sat beside the prince, admired, celebrated, envied. Amara was brought along. Some said it was kindness, others said it was pity. Amaka insisted. She wanted Amara close, very close. At the palace, Amara was placed in a quiet corner, always visible, always present, always silent. She drooled, she stared, she followed Amaka with her eyes. At night, when the palace slept, Amaka began to hear footsteps. Soft, bare, familiar. She would turn. Nothing. The prince began to notice things too. He noticed that Amaka sometimes spoke in ways that contradicted herself. He noticed that her laughter sounded forced. He noticed that Amara reacted strangely whenever certain words were spoken. One evening, while Amaka was away, the prince approached Amara. He knelt before her. He called her name. For the first time since the forest, Amara spoke. Just one word.
Amaka.
The prince froze. Before he could ask anything, Amara collapsed back into silence, saliva returning, her body shaking. The prince's heart pounded. That night, the palace drum stopped without reason. The elders were summoned. They spoke in hushed tones. Destiny, they said, does not forget its path. Amaka stood nearby, listening, fear creeping into her bones. That night, she dreamed again. Amara stood whole and glowing. The red cloth burned. The cowries cracked. And a voice spoke. You have not paid enough. Amaka woke up screaming. The next morning, Amara was missing. The palace was in chaos. The prince demanded answers. Amaka stood trembling. Because she knew. The forest was calling its dead. And this time, it would not be ignored. Servants searched everywhere. They checked the inner rooms, the outer yards, the kitchens, and the corridors. They called Amara's name softly, then loudly. No response came. The prince stood still, unease tightening his chest. Amara's absence disturbed him more than he expected. It felt as though something that had been wrongly buried was beginning to surface. Amaka pretended to panic. She shouted orders at the servants, accusing them of carelessness, demanding that they search faster. But deep inside her, fear twisted violently. She knew where Amara had gone. She had been there before. That night, Amaka could not sleep. The whispers returned, louder, clearer, filling her ears. You brought her here once. You will answer for it. By morning, things began to take a new turn for Amaka. As she stood in the palace courtyard, shouting angrily at one of the maids, ordering her about harshly, Amaka suddenly screamed. The sound tore through the palace like a blade. She clutched her body and began scratching herself wildly, her nails digging into her skin as though something crawled beneath it. Leave me alone, she screamed. No, no, I want to speak. Her voice cracked. Her breathing became heavy. She scratched harder, crying out in pain and fear. Then suddenly, from inside her wrapper, a red cloth and cowries fell to the ground. The courtyard fell silent. Everyone froze. Amaka continued scratching uncontrollably, twisting and crying, her mouth swelling as though words were fighting desperately to escape, but could not. Her lips grew larger, her throat strained, yet no confession came. The palace was thrown into chaos. The elders were summoned immediately, along with the chief priest. When he arrived, his eyes fell on the cowries and the red cloth, and his face hardened. Her mouth is swollen because she has not confessed, the chief priest said. The truth is trapped inside her. Amaka shook violently, tears pouring down her face. The chief priest raised his staff and pointed it directly at her. Speak! Amaka collapsed to her knees. The truth burst out of her. She confessed her jealousy. She confessed her hatred. She confessed how she had always mocked Amara behind closed doors while pretending to care in public. She confessed how she lured her twin sister into the forest with lies of beautiful flowers. She confessed the ritual, the red cloth, the cowries, everything. The people gasped. Amaka sobbed and screamed that she knew where Amara had gone. She had gone to that same forest. The prince did not hesitate. He ordered the guards to storm the forest immediately and bring Amara back. They found her there, standing calmly, whole, radiant. The confusion was gone. The drooling had stopped. Her eyes were clear. Her presence glowed with quiet strength, as though the forest itself had returned what was stolen. When Amara was brought back into the palace, the moment her foot touched the ground, Amaka screamed one last time. Her voice disappeared. Her beauty faded instantly. Her strength drained from her body. The queen who had sat on a stolen throne collapsed into nothingness. The palace stood in stunned silence. The prince walked toward Amara and fell to his knees before her. He apologized. He confessed that his heart had always chosen her, even when his eyes were deceived. He begged her forgiveness for allowing lies and appearances to steal her place. Amara listened quietly. She had suffered. She had heard everything while trapped in silence. The mockery, the cruelty, the betrayal. But her heart was no longer heavy. She forgave him. She forgave everyone. But she refused the throne. Some destinies, she said softly, are not meant to be returned, only understood. Amara walked away from the palace that day, free. The forest fell silent again, and the warning echoed once more in the hearts of those who witnessed it. As for Amaka, she was already punished for her wickedness. She lived the rest of her life dumb and ugly, a living reminder of what jealousy can turn a human being into. The admiration she once craved became her shame. The palace that once celebrated her turned its face away. People who had praised her kindness now spoke her name in whispers, not with envy, but with warning. She wandered through life, unable to explain herself, unable to defend her actions, unable to reclaim what she had destroyed. Every mirror reflected the truth she tried to hide. Every silence reminded her of the sister she betrayed. And every passing day was a sentence she could never appeal. Amara never looked back. She chose peace over crowns, healing over revenge, and freedom over stolen glory. Her life moved forward, no longer defined by betrayal, but by strength earned through suffering. And so the people learned. Jealousy is never harmless. It does not only destroy the person you envy, it destroys you first. Moral lessons. Jealousy can make you destroy the very person who loves you most. Destiny cannot be stolen without consequences. Pretending to be kind does not erase wickedness done in secret. Evil may succeed for a moment, but truth always finds its way out. What you take by force, you will lose by judgment.